He's a sweet man. He's a great man. And he's someone I have a strong amount of respect and support for. Seriously, he's simply one of the best guys I know and a very much cherish our friendship. But seriously, we're all going to be lucky to get to know him a little more. But Jake Campbell, welcome to Productive Conversations Podcast. How are you doing, my friend?
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me, man. And doing good. I can't really complain, Still working and still living, So can't complain.
Making us all proud for sure. So let's get right off the bat. What are the cool things about you, Jake? And one of our themes in this episode in particularly is the fact that when it comes to football, you're a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. Always have, always will, as we see sponsored by right now. But Jake, for someone who has lived in New Jersey and now living in Connecticut again, grew up in New Hampshire, how did you become a Kansas City Chiefs fan?
So I'm actually born in Kansas City, Kansas. And then we moved to Texas shortly after that. And then I moved back into the Missouri area and then back in Kansas for a while. So I've always kind of been like in that Kansas, Missouri area. We were always on the border on either the Missouri, Kansas City side or the Kansas City, Kansas side. And then about like when I was like 11 or 12, I moved to New Hampshire. But I never, like, once you're a KC fan, you kind of like, you're always a KC fan. Like my whole mom's side of the family is a big KC fan. They converted my dad, who was a Jets fan. And honestly, I feel like that was probably his best move, was to become a Chiefs fan. But yeah, I mean, football down in the Midwest is taken so seriously. So, I mean, like once you're a part of like that lifestyle and all that, like you can't leave it, you can't abandon it. And trust me, this is the first time ever where you didn't feel the need to want to have to abandon it, because we're actually doing well for the first time in, again, my 28 years of living. So
how about that? What made you always move often?
So my dad was just like he was like starting jobs down in the Midwest, and then I can't remember if I've ever really like brought this up fully with you, but we do have a house in Martha's Vineyard, like a cottage that we would go to during the summer. And so we were originally just commuting from Kansas all the way to that part of Massachusetts, which was like a huge pain in the ass, because like that's, we had to fly there, and like the airport in Martha's Vineyard is probably exactly like what you expect it to be. It's pretty crappy. So they wanted to be closer to there. My dad's side of the family is in, he was in New York. So we wanted to be up there, and like Exeter Hospital, which is where he works now, is one of like the more prominent hospitals in New Hampshire, and he's got a lot of expertise. So they needed him, and we were in New Hampshire for a while. He's still there.
Fascinating. Back to the Chiefs itself. Could you tell me like some of your early memories of being a Chiefs fan, like your first quarterback you like, first favorite player? Like for me, at the Giants, I've always been an Eli fan early, but when I first started, it was Kerry Collins and Kurt Warner, and then we had like a Michael Strahan and Tiki Barber at the time, and then the team stayed off to the same, and there's 2 Super Bowl runs, and now it's completely different. But that's my early route to the Giants, just living here and or growing up in the area of New York Metro, then just fell in naturally with that. So who was like some of your early KC fandoms and early favorite players and memories?
So I don't have so my first memory of a player that I shouldn't say that. I think that number 58 has to be like the number one name that kind of comes to mind in terms of like prominence in KC. Like everyone was a huge Derek fan. And I remember like even when I was like in elementary school, we had like a cardboard what do you call it, like a guy that like stands like this. No, not even that. Like one of those like actual like cutouts of
life-size cardboard. Yeah.
So we had one of those in our gym, and that dude was massive. This dude was like 6'4", 6'5", and I remember that's like probably my first memory of like a Chief. But my first like quarterback that I can remember, and it's kind of embarrassing, is Elvis Gerback. And this dude was not good.
I could not.
He was I think early 2000s, and the only like memory I have of him, and it's just like adds to the unfortunate of him, is oh, man. So I think it was like right when he was like probably in the middle of his career or the end of the career. We had a backup quarterback that apparently was like a very good looking guy. And what happened was it was either like Sports Illustrated or like some big time magazine. They wanted to do a spread on the best looking athlete in the NFL. And so what happened was is that they were supposed to interview the backup quarterback, but they interviewed Elvis. And Elvis, if you look at a picture of him, is kind of like a random, kind of like a normal looking guy. And so he was even kind of like, oh, really? He was like, oh, hyped about it. Like, okay, cool. Like, I'm like the hottest guy in, the NFL. And so they did like a whole spread of him, and like the pictures that they took of him are so awkward because it's just like this weird looking dude who's like posing in certain positions and shit like that. And it was really embarrassing because they eventually like released it about like, okay, like we meant to get the backup quarterback, but we got you. And even Elvis's wife had said something like, him? Like, why were you interviewing him? So that's like my first memory of a quarterback on the Chiefs. And it just adds to his unfortunate kind of like, he wasn't a great player. He was, as good as you can get with the team that we had back in the early 2000s. And we weren't really, we had some kind of like the big names kind of come through in KC, but we were never really anything. I feel like really like we felt like a bit of like momentum is like when we had like Jamal Charles, who's probably like my favorite player of all time. And then like Alex Smith. I think Alex Smith really kind of gave us the kind of like the push to start, going forward. And Andy Reid obviously becoming our head coach was a huge jump in the right direction. So
yes.
It's been a rain, man.
I looked this guy up. This is him now. Just found this on Google Images. The sexiest athlete. It actually says that too.
Yeah, like him, like the positions that like where he's just like kind of like trying to look sexy and shit like that. It's like, oh, this is awkward.
What a win for him. And yeah, for anyone who didn't know, the 58 he was talking about is Derek Thomas. He was in the Hall of Fame. He sadly passed away in a car accident, I believe. But yeah, like I said, football, both NFL and college Hall of Famer. So yeah, how about that? And now you must be, like you mentioned before, it implied like you're in heaven right now. You're in a real golden age of your team. And if they could pull off this win and then win one more, you might be seeing a dynasty being formed. Now, the years prior coming through with a Alex Smith and Andy Reid coming on, did you feel like, oh, something's really cooking up? We've been suffering for so long, but now, we're getting draft picks again. We are having the right, obviously making the right choices in the draft. And I don't know if in between like there was GM changes, but you know better than me. But did you see something coming? Like, when did you know that, when did you notice that things were going in the right direction for this now on its way to be a dynasty?
Well, I mean, I remember being in college, like we were in chapter meetings because chapter meetings were on Sundays, and I would literally like try to pay attention, but I'm like looking on my phone. I'm like, all right, what's the score? Okay, like who's got the ball right now? Alex Smith, again, I really feel like he like pushed us in the right direction. I remember like when Andy Reid became our head coach, because I honestly can't even tell you who our head coach was before that. He was very unmemorable. I remember like when we got Andy Reid coming right off of Philly, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a big deal. And again, we had Charles, I think like in 2009 or 2010. Mm-hmm. So like we had kind of like the players. It was just like we had a broken chess table essentially. We needed all the pieces to kind of come together, and we just didn't have it. And again, I'm gonna be like sound like a bandwagoner, but I mean when we drafted Mahomes, I was positive this dude was gonna like do some shit. I remember I watched like his like profile video, and like this dude was just like he had like the swag, but he's again, he sounds like Kermit the Frog. So he has kind of like a dorkiness to him. I was like, I already like this guy. And like one of the first things like he had said in his like it was like a workout video or something like that. Where he's like, yeah, like, you know, down in Texas, like my coach is always telling me that I gotta stop working out. Like I just like to get big. I just want to get bigger, you know, like, but you know, you can't do that as a quarterback. I was like, whatever. This dude's like, if he wants to be a meathead, there's gotta be a meathead. But like, this guy's going somewhere, and let's see like what happens. Because I know that we kind of like passed like on Watson. Like I know like that was the big thing. Is like, why would you get rid of Trubisky and Watson? And I mean, Trubisky is another thing, but I think that Watson still is probably one of the best quarterbacks out in the league. I mean, I'm very excited to see what happens to him. But yeah, no, Mahomes definitely was just like the game changer. I mean, it really is. I'm very excited to see like where this kid takes off.
And he's your guy for life. I mean, it'd be dumb to you already got extended, be dumb to let him go, and you know, knows how to break tackles, knows how to be accurate even when he's not looking. Excuse me. And I mean, you probably can't be more excited. And he's only 24, right? And
I know. Yeah.
So only up from here.
Yeah. No. I mean, I feel like I'm turning into like a bandwagoner by the way that I talk with things. Because even like after we won the Super Bowl, I was wearing like my KC hat everywhere. And then I remember there was like one dude in particular. I was like walking by, and I heard him fucking say to his girl, he was like, "Man, all these bandwagon Chiefs fans are like taking over New York." And I like was tempted to like be like, "Bro, like don't even like." Yeah. I dealt with so much shit on our team. Like, let me enjoy this. Like, we've been terrible for so long. I mean, I don't feel like you become a fan of a team and unless you see them in their hardships and then see them in their strides. I mean, that's just I don't know. So, but I mean, I can totally see Mahomes being like, it's almost like the Super Bowl is like a LeBron versus Jordan kind of deal. I'm really kind of seeing that as the comparison. You know, the again, everyone's saying the GOAT versus the kid, which I don't know. I like it. I think this is a really good Super Bowl. I think this is the most exciting Super Bowl I've ever seen.
Yeah, why don't we get into that? Why don't we hop on into that? And Super Bowl, we have the Super Bowl 55, Tampa, Florida, the Chiefs versus the Bucks. As you see, KC's trying to repeat as champions, and Tampa Bay's trying to just show who Tom Brady's truly the greatest if you could just hop on a team to win a Super Bowl. And just, I mean, good enough to hop on a team, make it to one, and win the NFC. But let me talk. I know there's probably some bias here, but it's definitely fair. What are fair for you? And we know you've been loyal to the team, so fuck the haters for that. But tell me, what are you thinking for this game? What do you think are the keys to win for KC to win it all?
For us to win it all, I think I remember like when we were entering the playoffs, it's gonna be very corny to say, but like our biggest enemy is ourselves. We are like there's just times like where we are like on fire. I'm just like, fuck yeah, let's go. Like keep doing what you're doing. And then there's other times when it's like, dude, what is this shit show? It seemed like we were like playing very hard against like the really tough teams, and then when we played against like the average to like not so average teams, we were like struggling. So, and at the time when we played the Bucks, I would still kind of consider them as like not really being like in like their strides, and I feel like Tom Brady was still trying to get like his chemistry set up and make everything work, and we beat them, but it was a struggle. So going into round two, again, I still feel it's kind of the same thing of we got to continue to essentially just be doing what we've been doing the entire playoffs. Good offense, and then our defense has really been kind of killing it, but it's so 50-50 with them. So I don't think that this is going to be a shutout. I would like to think it would be, but I think that won't make that Super Bowl magical is if it's just like a shutout. I think it's going to be a tough, just like head to head. It's going to be close to the end, I think. Tom Brady is the best. I mean, I don't like the Patriots. I don't particularly like Brady, but I respect the shit out of him.
Of course.
And I know that he is the fucking best. Like, there's just no dispute in it. He is the best. So, and again, this is his 10th time in the Super Bowl, which is fucking wild.
10
full years. For us to, it's crazy. And again, the concept of like leaving your dynasty team to go to another to a Super Bowl is not unheard of because Manning did it. So I mean, it's not going to be completely.
He did it a little sooner, Brady. But you're right. Same point for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the only company to get that. Manning's the only quarterback to win in two different divisions. I mean, two different teams. So
it's It'll be interesting. I mean, I'm excited for this game. I think this is, again, like without a doubt, the most excited I've ever been for a Super Bowl. And that's like, even if I wasn't a Chiefs fan, I just feel like these are just two very like dope teams to be in the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, for
Like
me.
once,
You were
no,
saying?
go ahead.
I was just saying, for me as a New York Football Giants fan, I'm loving it. I mean, historically, when we look back, we'll see. Well, even like many years later, we'll see. Wow, the best in a peak prime or happen to be playing each other at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and again, Brady going from the AFC to the NFC and then just killing it. That's like always been his not Achilles, but like what everyone always uses as a scapegoat. It's like, well, he's in an easy division.
Yeah.
The AFC is not a big deal, whatever. He's proved that he can do it, and he beat all the best. I mean, he had Rodgers. I mean, it's his story. If you think of football as a story, his story is amazing, and I really do think, even talking as a Chiefs fan, I do believe that Tom Brady winning this Super Bowl would be the ultimate story of Tom Brady.
Yeah, right.
I don't necessarily want that to happen per se, but it would be incredible for like him to actually win the Super Bowl with everything that went on this year. I think that would be incredible. I think that he's all ready to go, and for him to do that, it would just be like, it's tops. There's no way to beat that.
I mean, what can I say? You hit it nail on the head. He's doing something we'll never see before, and I'm just looking up just to double check. But I'm pretty sure if Tom Brady wins Super Bowl 7, he will have more Super Bowls than just one franchise, which is the Steelers. 7. That. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was just double checking to make sure that's correct. And
where are the Giants at?
4. Still high up there.
Gone 4 or 1-4?
1-4 gone to 6.
Gotcha.
Wait. Yeah. Well, sorry, 1-4 and gone to 5. Steelers. Let me just confirm this. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, he'll have it. He'll have it more than every franchise.
That's wild. Again, there's no disputing this guy. I mean, it's going to take, again, even for Mahomes, it's going to take a lot of fucking work to even get like on that same caliber. I mean, it
takes a long time.
This dude has really left. Yeah, he really left a legacy that's going to be, again, he's like the Jordan or LeBron, however you want to spin it, whoever you think is better, I guess, on that.
But I think if he does win it, this is a humongous step in the right direction. There's only been a handful of quarterbacks who won actually 2 Super Bowls. If he wins the MVP, it'd be only the 7th time that's happened, and everyone who's gotten that is a Hall of Fame or a future one. So it's you must be thrilled. And I think the keys to the game is if they could just stop this pass rush from the Bucs. And I know it's tough because you guys lost your main man, Eric Fisher, one of the best linemen in the game. But if you have to go up against the people like JPP, Shaq Barrett, and Ndamukong Suh, you need to make sure Mahomes has room to make plays. And if he gets the ball to all his playmakers like Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce, if Sammy Watkins is coming back, that's another addition. Hardman, and yeah, that's what I think will be the reason if they can win it. If they could just make sure Mahomes doesn't get touched, because they beat Rodgers with 5 sacks and a lot of takedowns. So
yeah, that was a crazy game. I mean, I keep saying like the Bucs had literally everything that they possibly could need to be in a Super Bowl. Like I think for them to not be in the Super Bowl would have been wild if you looked at like their roster at the beginning of the season. And like they had a rocky start, but they were like killing it towards the end. So I mean, they completely earned their spot, and they did perfectly well in the playoffs. So I mean,
it's definitely not a fluke of them getting in.
Definitely not, because I feel like you get that sometimes. I think that's like when the Super Bowls are miserable to watch, because you're watching either both or like one team that's like completely like overpowers the other, and you're just like, I'm here for the commercials now. Like I'm not even here for this fucking game. Like it's whatever. Give me an MCU trailer and I'm happy, I guess. But Yeah, no, I mean, at least for Sunday, like the game is going to be the game. And again, I don't necessarily want a blowout from either side. I really hope it is kind of like just like down to the wire. It's back and forth. It's good football. That's
Like
all
last
you
year's
can really
game.
ask for. Yeah, in the well that I don't want that. That I was growing my first gray hairs after that. I was bugging out with that game. I picked up like a superstition from that game. Um, so when we were in the playoffs, I was trying to grow a Kelsey beard for the playoffs, and then if we made it to the Super Bowl, I was gonna keep letting it go. And obviously for like the first half of the game, we were playing miserably, and then even in the beginning of the third quarter, we were playing bad. And dude, I don't know. I'm not saying that I did anything for the team, but what I will say is that for some reason in the back of my head, something was saying, you gotta get rid of that beard, kid. You gotta get rid of it. You're killing this team right now. So I literally I was like, we've lost this. Like this is like gonna be tough. So like it hit to a commercial. I ran to the bathroom. I shaved my beard off completely. I like sat back down. Bro, no joke. Like 5 minutes later, like we got I think like Tyreek Hill had like a huge like 60-yard run or something like that. And I
Yep.
was like, bro, I don't know what the fuck I just did, but like if it helped the team in any possible way, like whatever. So like I have a beard now, but going into the Super Bowl, like this shit's gone. I ain't playing any games. Like that's like my one weird superstition that I like had picked up over there since like last year. So we'll see, man.
Well, on behalf of the KC faithful, I'm sure they appreciate your sacrifice. And hey, get that other second Super Bowl. I think, obviously Andy Reid's a Hall of Fame already. Mahomes is already making his strides to the Hall, and Kelsey's a Hall of Famer. And yeah, good luck, man. I'm really excited to see, and I think you guys are going to pull it off. I just think you're a better offense, and I think you'll just score more points. That's just my prediction. So
I appreciate it. Yeah, we need all the luck we can get. So appreciate
awesome.
it.
No problem. So let's switch gears. Before we get some fun stuff, you and I met at the University of Hartford. That's our thing.
We
We're
did,
both in the same fraternity, Theta Chi fraternity,
sir.
Theta Upsilon, for those who want the specific Greek terminology. I wanted to know, Jake, you're an architect, or you work in the architecture field, right?
Okay.
Doing great professionally. You married your college sweetheart.
I did.
I'm sure it's been quite a from once you got to college, both personally, professionally, you grew it to a strong young man and stuff. So and now you're back in the Connecticut area, the Hartford area, hanging out, enjoying us here in Netherlands country. I'm at the bottom of the state, you're at the top. I just want to know, Jake, from all the cool things you experienced, what from college what are some of the lessons in college that made you experience things and get to you where you are?
I mean, joining the fraternity was like a game changer for me. I think that really broke me out of my shell. I was a very awkward and quiet kid in high school.
Really?
I always, oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
I
I
wouldn't
think
have
that there's
known.
like that. Some people say that, and I was like, yeah. Again, if you knew me, you would. I would consider myself as, I think that there was like the MTV show called In the In-Betweeners, and like that was probably me, because I wasn't like the weird kid. I wasn't like a goth. I wasn't like the cool kid. I wasn't necessarily the athletic guy. I was definitely like that in-betweener guy. Sorry. So yeah, when I joined the fraternity, that was definitely like the saving grace, I feel like, for like getting me out of my shell, being more like open to people. I just feel like I was very sheltered and stuff like that. I mean, I come from like a very loving family, but like we kind of like keep our shit to ourselves sometimes. And I feel like I think with me being in the fraternity, I'm a very sensitive dude, and like I needed to like release, just like who I am. And I feel like that the fraternity really did bring that out of me. Because I always had like my passions for architecture, and like everything was kind of the same from like beginning to end in terms of like what I wanted out of my life. But I think that I always had like a personality, and I always had strive to, meet certain people, and the fraternity definitely just turned that around for me. I definitely would not have met the people that we met, especially in our fraternity. I feel like our fraternity was literally the most ideal group of guys you could find, because everybody is unique and has something different about them, and like I just feel like no one's the same, and that's what I loved about our fraternity, is that we had a nice uniqueness. And I don't mean unique in a weird way. I just mean I like the idea of not having to be in a fraternity where like everyone's wearing fucking pastel shorts and having their hats backwards. I don't like that shit. That's not what I wanted to be a part of, and I really never felt that way with our fraternity. So that was definitely the biggest turning point, I think, for college. And I know that sounds stupid, because
no, not at all.
You should be going to school for X, Y, and Z, but I definitely picked up something different from it. So
yeah, you make sense with that. I think it's definitely important to have, quote unquote, your book smarts, your academics, and know what you're passionate about that can lead to a career. But also, being social is such an important aspect of it, whether it's in interviews or networking events or just interacting. I think that's generally important. And, take away the extreme parts of it, a stereotypical fraternity life can be. Not everybody goes to house parties and do kegs and all that stuff. That's just a small portion, but at least actually talking to people, interacting, get some sparks that really is important. And I think that was what was important that I got out of the fraternity too. And the reason why I joined Pic Theta Chi was just fate. When I got into UHeart, I want to be in a fraternity because I felt I had no social scene whatsoever at home. I think if I put a little more effort in, I probably could have, but yeah, it was just normal for me to hang out with my few friends that we didn't do much in our high school years. And I would just watch movies all the time, or SNL on Saturday night. So I figured this will be obvious, a fraternity to get me surrounded with people. So I picked Theta Chi I looked on our Wikipedia page for UHeart, looked at the fraternities. I picked Theta Chi literally because Steven Spielberg was a brother. It was just like, it was easy. So I just stuck with it. And, we had that first semester of personal fulfillment, I guess. And then when we rushed, I just went in with the most naive thing. And I'm glad that you told me when you guys were interviewing me for fraternity, you were skeptic, which is fine. But I guess that naiveness, luckily it saved me, not turned me down, or whoever had enough faith for letting me in.
No, I feel that. That was the thing, though, is I feel like we dislike people that felt like they were coming in with a swag that would like not be us, I guess. I feel like the more yourself you were, the more we did like you. I mean, dude, I say it all the time to you. Like, I definitely like had a vibe about you. I was like, I don't know. But no, the more, and again, especially the longer that me and you have like kept in touch, the more I was like, no, this kid's like legit. Like, I get it.
Thank you, man.
But I remember, I had a different vibe at first, and it's definitely 100% changed. But that again, I think is the fraternity. I think that your best self came out, and I think that's how I felt too. I feel like me and you probably had a very similar like insight of how, because I remember like when I signed my bid, I honestly did not think like enough into it. I literally was like blindly signing it, really.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, sure. Yeah, I didn't even go to my own rush week. I literally was.
That's hilarious.
I was,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I completely missed out on like the best part of you getting like involved in it all. I didn't go to any rush weeks when I was, not in Theta Chi. I really just blindly signed something, and here I am, and I feel like it's changed me for the best.
And
I can tell with you, it changed you. I mean, in a very good way. I definitely see. I remember seeing you when you were younger and who you are now, and you are not completely. You're always going to be Matt Brown, but you have a different swag to you, I would say.
Oh yeah, and I appreciate it through the that those times where those changes came from awkward times and obstacles to overcome. It wasn't that super easy, but I'm thankful for it and really hold no regrets. And yeah, I'm just lucky. I just go in, and when I remember I signed my bid the Super Bowl 48, which was the Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl. That's when I signed the bid. They called me in, and that was a blowout, if you remember. So didn't miss much. And yeah, now we're here. And one of the cool things, Jake, is you met your wife in a from Greek life. If you don't mind me asking, I'm just curious, how did you meet her? Did you see her at a? Because I think it's a cool story, and we see a lot of people who aren't going the distance from college, but you guys did, and it's inspiring. And she's awesome. You're awesome. So I was just curious, how did this all come? Did you just see her at Commons in the dining hall, and then you're like, man, I'm gonna marry her? Or like if you see Joe Dirt with Kid Rock did that,
Yeah.
or was it
I
something that
mean,
just grew naturally?
honestly, you're not that far off of like what you were saying with that. Like, I remember I had seen Brooke a couple times like around campus, and I remember like every time I saw her, I definitely had that cartoon fucking hearts in your eyes kind of thing. Like, oh my god, who is that? And I remember like one time specifically, Ryan Ostrow, who was my roommate, he knew Brooke from like a class or some shit like that. And we were like walking the Commons, and she was walking by us. I was like, oh fuck, that's her. And then Ryan said something to her, and she said something to him. And I was like, yo, Ryan, like, I don't even know how you know her, but you need to like introduce me to her. And Ryan's like, oh, like, I honestly don't really know her. She's just like in the class of mine. So like that was like my one like in I felt like to like even meet her, because I feel like her sorority and our fraternity like weren't mingling at that point. But no, I was like, I saw her a lot, and I was always like, oh, dude, like, I just need to like get some fucking courage to like say something to her at some point. And then I honestly never did. So I think what happened was I had like randomly added her on Facebook, and I was like eventually gonna try and like maybe just like hit her up at some point. And then instead she hit me up, and she was like, chat me up a little bit. And then I said like, okay, like, well, let's go have a Commons day. Like, I want to like, I can't take you to something legit, but like, how about Commons? So we went to Commons, and I remember that she had like a salad, and then I literally was like myself, I had 2 burgers, and I was like, this is me, man. Like, this is what it is. And then I remember she was saying, she's like, oh, I literally just had a salad because like I wanted to like look like proper or some shit like that.
Way.
I was like, I don't give a fuck, whatever. But yeah, that was kind of like our first like date, really like interacting with one another, because like really we had just been like texting a little bit here and there.
Of course.
But yeah, I remember like I was like hitting up brothers. I was like, don't let me fuck this up. Like, I don't like. This is like the girl I've been wanting to talk to. Like, I was like always like trying to find like a way to meet her, and she kind of like introduced herself to me. So I mean, it worked out, and she kind of like had the same like mentality towards me. She's like, yeah, I always saw you around campus. I thought that you were like, whatever. And yeah, that's just kind of how it went down. Is we kind of were like star-crossed, and then I eventually would have. I always kind of say like I eventually would have hit you up first, but she kind of beat me to the punch. So yeah.
Wow, look at that. Now you're settled together. What a beautiful story, man. The wedding was an awesome time, and I'm happy for you, both of you. That's really sweet to hear, man. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing
man.
that. And I was
Of course.
just wondering, before we switch gears to our movies and TV, do you have any other like hilarious or funny you heart memories to share? Something that only really happened in college, you didn't expect, or wherever?
I mean, honestly, anytime I was around like Gabe or Dre,
Yeah.
it was always something, like whether I was a
Gabe
part of
knows
it
who's been
or
on the
like,
podcast, and Dre, who's scheduled to come on next week. So look at that.
oh really?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to call him like every 20 minutes before your call, I think.
Trust me.
Dre's a funny one when it comes to that.
Hey man, if we could get it, it's going to be good. But you were saying though, anytime hanging out with Dre and Gabe.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I'm trying to think of like, I mean, it didn't necessarily happen to me, but I just remember it was one of the funniest things that I had ever heard, and it was just, I mean, it might make more sense for Dre to say it, but there was like this one time where, actually, I'm trying to think of like a good, I don't know. I came unprepared, I guess.
No,
Like
no
either.
worries. I just asked. I was just
Yeah.
curious. Feel free to take your time. I pay for these Zooms, so take as long as you want.
Oh shit.
No, no. I'm.
Well, I mean, I have funny things, but like I can't really put them on here. That's kind of like I was gonna start going off on a story. I was like, oh fuck, I can't talk about that. Bro, I'm like blanking. I'm like,
Could you tell me something crazy that happened at Spring Fling, at one of the various Spring Flings?
I mean, my like first spring fling at like as a Theta Chi was definitely like the best spring fling I had. Just because it was the most ratchet shit that we could have done. Because we had Beta Mu come in, so that was like our biggest numbers we had. So I think that was like, I want to say
think it
like
was
we
12.
were like no. Well, they
more.
were a 12-man pledge class, but us as a fraternity, we were like 34, 35, something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. And that was like the most that we had in a very long time. And then it came to like the seniors who had kind of dealt with like our fraternity being like a little bit smaller numbers of like 15, 16, like around there. When we like doubled that in their time, the seniors were like, all right, if everybody like puts in like fucking like $50 or something like that, we can like do some crazy shit and like get as much beer as we can possibly get. So I remember that we ended up investing in, we had to get 69 racks of Milwaukee's best. And
Wow.
we made a throne out of it in like the sixes. And it was just like a big gigantic chair, essentially, of just like I don't know if you ever had Milwaukee's best, but it is not my ideal choice of a beer. And then the fact that they weren't refrigerating it either, so it was warm Milwaukee's best. And so, but again, that never ruined it. It was definitely the fun of just having a fucking throne of racks, and that shit kept us for the rest of the year. Like, I mean, we really were not paying, because it was like every brother could get, it was like 30 beers or something like that,
Almost like a rack to yourself.
No, or maybe even two. It was something. It was like an insurmountable amount of beer. And I was like, still, I wasn't going like crazy back then, I feel like, and I was just like, dude, that's a fucking lot of beer. Like, I can't. I drink like 3 at a time, and I'm calling it a day.
Right. Same here.
But there was definitely people that were drinking their share for sure. But no, that was just like the most fun. I mean, I remember we were in the sixes and we traded the sixes like the fives. So I remember like the fives was always like the most popping of like the quads, like when it came to like parties and when it was like spring flings and stuff like that. But the sixes was just as lit, I feel like, that year, because we had like the rugby team was in there. I think we were the only fraternity that was like pretty much in that quad.
Yeah.
But we had like a bunch of different like fun groups of like different like sports people and like just kind of like good groups of people that were all like in that sixes area, and we just hung out there the entire time. I don't have like any like specific instances of like, oh, like this was dope. I just feel like the whole thing was awesome.
Yeah, no, this is exactly
I remember,
what I'm
like,
looking for.
I like, yeah, I mean, I remember like sleeping outside that night, like not because I was just drunk, but just because like we were just sitting around until like 4 o'clock in the morning. But you know, that was definitely the most fun, just because it's probably the most I remember out of the spring fling. But then it was just a group of people. I mean, like the seniors that were heading out, it was like kind of like a big send off for them.
Yeah.
No, that was definitely my favorite one for sure. But again, anything like necessarily crazy, I can't really like pinpoint something specifically.
No, you exactly answered how I would like you to. It was the same with my, same thing was us, the fives. Like my peak probably was the juniors. Yeah, junior year of spring fling, just hanging out in the fives. And senior year was good too. I would have this Ford Ranger, this 2001. That was my truck that I'd go back and forth between my internships in here. And there was also just low key the fraternities. If everyone needed a ride, I was there, didn't mind driving. But the secret thing, I never paid for a parking pass. I would always pay like the temporary pass. And then you would do like $3 for a day. Or I would just ask somebody to register for me. And I got away with it for a solid 2 years in a row. I guess it all accumulated at the end of the day, but still, it was nice. It was a pain in the ass. If you remember walking to C lot, it was a good mile and a half
Yeah.
to walk to the
Yeah, dude.
fives and stuff. So good exercise at the time. But yeah, it was just getting those racks from Jay's, if you remember, just putting them all there.
Mm.
I remember one time we transported an air hockey table. And I would not do this again because we had our other president, this dude Roy, after me. He was sitting on the on the bed of the truck with the thing, and I'm just thinking about, and where our fraternity house was is on Bloomfield Ave. It was just the
Mm.
house, so it's only about a 5-minute drive from campus, but that was the longest 5 minutes. I was like, man, I could totally get over. This shit sucks, but it was a sweet bond, and we were really close in it, especially the senior year, because we just were all on the same page. And we talked about them before that maybe there were some bad apples in the past, but by the time it was my senior year, we just were all really good friends. And, it was something that I just really appreciated and lucky at the time. So that and that truck, and I miss it every day, that Ford Ranger.
Was that your like first like solo car to yourself?
Yeah, pretty much. It was. I technically shared with my brother, but I just drove it 90% of the time. So it was great. I would just go when I would intern in New York. I would just go from Hartford to my commuter town in Norwalk and then back and forth. And there was 2 times I had to drive into the city because I had to go to work early for something. And it was just easier than that because it was only twice I did the true Hartford to Norwalk ride. Oh, sorry, Hartford to New York City. And this is Midtown ride. So solid 3 hours. But besides that, and the car would just deteriorate as it went years. Like the windshield wiper broke. I remember one time in a bad rainstorm, it would just keep breaking. So where I'm from in Norwalk to Hartford, it would be an hour and a half from where I'm at. And it took like 4 hours because I had to stop, move it again. And, I probably should have I attempted to stay in a parking lot and like sleep it off maybe, but then it just got so creepy. But that we finally made it through. I never felt so relieved. So, man, good
Wait,
time.
was it raining or something? Is that why you couldn't
Oh,
use
yeah.
the windshield wipers?
Like the equivalent is a snowstorm and rain, just pounding long
Gotcha.
hours and never again. But after that, I knew the truck was. I could only drive it in the when it wasn't no precipitation. So I don't know, but man, I missed
So
that.
you saw the 5% on the Weather Channel, and you're like, not today, sir, not today.
No, seriously, it freaked. Trust me, when you drive, especially at a highway, and you see perfect vision, and then it just stops, so you can't see shit. I became a better driver relying on my rear view mirror and stuff like that, but never again. Even though I missed that truck, and so many good memories with it.
I feel like you always remember like your first kiss, like your first date, but you always remember like your first car, and it's always the best car you ever had. I'm the same way with my first car.
Which
I don't
is
think another car. It was a Nissan Altima, and it was like a leather interior, and
okay.
no, but that car like did me legit damage. Like I remember I would go play football, like for practice, and like the car would sit in a lot that had no sun cover whatsoever. And I remember I would be like, just like covered in sweat, like Peter Griffin in a sauna, just like nastiness. And then I would sit in the car, and it is pure fire. And I just like I legitimately was getting like burn marks sitting in my own car. I love that car, but I know just because of like the physical toll that shit has done to me, that I will never get a leather interior again.
That's funny.
No, that was like my favorite car.
No BMW.
It had a sunroof and shit. Yeah, I feel like there's no other car that can maybe fill that void except maybe like a Jeep. I do like a Jeep, but
yeah,
I don't know if I'll ever get a Jeep.
Hey man, you never know. So Jake, one of the things I've been really looking forward to. So we're gonna geek out of some movies and TV. So I asked you right before, since we talk about this stuff anyways and text about it, why don't we let it be known? And you could give some comments on the shows and stuff like that.
Go for it.
Okay, so my top 5. This is Matt Brown's top 5 shows, and I think this will be like these 5. I don't think are actually going to change. Movies could sometimes be here or there, but these 5 particular not going to move. So number 5, I go with Atlanta. Donald Glover's Atlanta. I think just is such an amazing combo of comedy, drama, some really deep things to say, some social messages and wokeness. Donald Glover, winning
Genius.
Emmys. Brian Tyree Henry, amazing as Paperboy. Lakeith Stanfield with his big breakthrough role. I mean, all three of them really. It's a show's good when you have your three guys become major stars after. Like you see Brian Tyree Henry and Joker and Lakeith Stanfield and Sorry to Bother You and Donald Glover and Lion King and obviously one of the biggest music stars in the world. That's what I have to say. Special place for number 5, Atlanta.
I mean, I like what you said, but like, like your cast is good when like they're all taken off. And I feel like that's another thing that is like why there's like such a big break between these seasons is like these guys are just killing it, but they're still committed to this. And you got to love like them for still like committing to a great show. So
yeah. That's why I trust. Like, I think these execs know, like, of these networks and now streaming services, like, let the artists take their time. You don't necessarily need a show every single consecutive year. And sometimes people complain that people get jaded and can't think of, they don't have time to think of proper ideas. So yeah, I think the first 2 seasons were 2 years apart. Now we're pushing like 3 or 4 for season 3, but I think they're supposed to come back at the end of 2021 and it's going to be 2 seasons. I believe that's
Yep. That's what he's been promising. We'll see. I mean, I keep saying, do your thing. I could be in my 40s and I'll wait for season 3. I'm waiting and I will be patient.
Works for me. I saw that Frasier is getting revived on the Paramount Network. I'm sure there's some people waiting for that. Too. I know one friend who actually binged that show.
That's our age. And is really into it.
Yeah, she just binged through. She put Frasier and Cheers, and those are like, I know Cheers is over 230 episodes. That's dedication. I briefly thought, because on Peacock now, which is free, you could get every single SNL ever, and I thought, maybe what if I binged every single SNL? And then I was like, wow, that's 45 years and 900 episodes. That'd take forever, but damn, it'd be some accomplishment.
I feel like you would also recognize like so many episodes. You're like, I've already seen this one. I've seen this one. I've seen this one. I mean, it is what it is.
I got the idea from watching a documentary on Showtime about John Belushi, which was really good. Really, really good. I highly recommend it. And like those episodes did make me laugh. I was like, I never really taken the time to look at the real old classics with our boy Chevy Chase in it, Gilda Radner, John Belushi and stuff. But yeah, we were talking about Chevy Chase. He was a real dick back then too. He left the show hanging.
Yeah, he was always kind of like a shithead. I mean, it doesn't seem like there was ever like a good. I feel like you rarely hear a good story about Chevy. It's never. It's always something negative. And it's weird because like that cast was so thankful to be where they were. Like Bill Murray was nothing. All these guys really were not big names, and this was their biggest moment. And I just feel like Chevy was just like the asshole on the whole group of it, not really.
That's why he bounced after a season and became a big movie star. But it's so cool what Lorne does. It shows how amazing of a genius Lorne is, and like he's still as passionate 45 years later till now, and somehow is able to find relevant talent. I mean, he's like that teacher in your school who was like there for many years and you witness your students become big things, and he's the one. So
yeah. Well, how do you feel about the newer seasons? I guess that's a good question to ask for you.
They're not as good as they used to be. I think for various reasons. I'm still tuning in. There are still some sketches that will make me laugh out loud, but like they always say your favorite season's the one you were in high school. And since I had no social life in high school, I'd watched, it was like Bill Hader and Jason Sudeikis, Kristen Wiig before all those guys hit it big. And every single sketch was enjoyable, all the hosts and stuff. But I think there's something missing. I don't see this current cast. I'm like, and also back then, he was like, these guys are going to be mega stars and do their own thing. Like that cast in particular, whether it's Kristen or Bridesmaids or Bill Hader and Barry and all that stuff. But I think they're all talented. They're amazing. They could do stuff that I can't. I just don't see like any major stars except like Kate McKinnon. And I think Chloe, what's her name, is going to be something. And Pete Davidson still, I think he's been improving. I see him a lot more sketches than lately. So it's nice to see him doing that, but that's what I think of the newer seasons. What about you?
So I think I'm kind of like, I think what you were saying, like your favorites were in high school. And I'm probably around there slash like a
Yeah.
little bit of middle school. I mean, I love like when Jimmy Fallon was on, or like Horatio Sands was hysterical,
Oh
and
yeah,
he
I
hasn't
love
really
the
done a
Lonely
lot
Island
since.
too.
But
I lived on
the
those
only, yeah, dude,
digital shorts.
Andy Samberg was amazing. Like that
Yeah.
guy was killing it. Even like Fred Armisen, he wasn't
he's great.
necessarily like a huge name per se, but like I think that he was hysterical on that show.
Awesome impressionist too.
Oh, he kills it. He's so good. I mean, that really was like a stellar cast. Like within like that, let's say like 2003 to 2000,
Like 8,
12.
All right, yeah, that makes sense.
Because like that's when Kristen Wiig and like Sudeikis were on, stuff like that.
Yeah, like in the Obama when Tina Fey was what's her shit? I can't believe I got her name
from Alaska. Yeah.
Wow, I thought I'd never forget her name. Shit.
I'm blinking too. I can see my house or I can see Russia from my house. I can't think of her name now.
Okay, I looked at Alaska governor. This is definitely a person who took over. Mike.
Oh yeah, she's
Dunleavy.
not anymore. John McCain and
Sarah Palin.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it shows how relevant she is now today.
Right. Like that's how those were my times and stuff. And I just think there just needs to be more. Like there's definitely great cast and all talented, but I don't know if there's any breakout stars, if that makes sense. So.
Well, I think what worked with like the older seasons is that you had several different people that were working and clicked and like made like I think that the issue that they have now is that they rely on like one person that's funny and everybody else is kind of like mediocre. I think like Kate McKinnon is like they put everything on her shoulders to kind of get things done. And I think before that was like Kristen Wiig. I feel like Kristen Wiig was kind of like once she was like about to like head out, she was like a dime and a dozen in that cast.
And Bill Hader like always in every sketch too at one point.
Yeah, but I feel like Bill Hader is funnier outside of SNL. I don't think that he was as funny on SNL. I think that he's really funny, but I think that like some people can just kill it better, whether they're on SNL versus outside of SNL. I just like that they have too much reliance. Huh?
I love Bill Hader. He's probably my favorite cast member. I just think he's awesome with his original characters and the impressions, like whether it's that Italian gibberish guy screaming and yelling, one of my favorite characters are him, or the Vietnam vet who interacts with puppets. Those are I just love watching that. And he's just a big film nerd. So. Herb, yes.
Yeah, and they've had some people that I was like, okay, like this could work. I remember like Jay Farrell was like, I think one of like their biggest losses that they got rid of, and I couldn't tell you why.
That was random.
And the other one that now I'm forgetting her name, Jenny Slate.
Yeah,
that was another one of those people like where like she was only on for like a season, and they kicked her out because she said fuck on TV.
Yeah, she's became huge ever since then.
Yeah, she's killing it now. Like I feel like that they've had some people that they have just like passed up, and I think Pete Davidson, they are giving him the light because it's what the people want. Like they were hardly giving him any airtime whatsoever. And I know that kind of has other shit with his life and shit like that, but I just feel like they need to use what they got, and I feel like they're kind of getting a little bit of some pickup here. But it's the cast right now is a little. I'm not rushing to watch it.
Right. Absolutely, dude. You know what's always interesting about SNL for me? The amount of people who audition and didn't get it and are major stars. They can make an all-star cast with that. Like I just pulled up real quick: Jim Carrey, Stephen Colbert, Donald Glover, Tiffany Haddish, Kevin Hart, Zach Galifianakis.
I didn't know Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah, Mindy Kaling, Nick Kroll, Lisa Kudrow, Adam McKay, John Mulaney became a writer. Kumail Nanjiani, Jordan Peele. He actually, according to this, he auditioned to play Obama and lost out to Fred Armisen. Aubrey Plaza.
What?
Your boy Paul Scheer, according to this. I mean,
I can believe that. I believe that.
Yeah, Gina Davis. Like, wow, it's just Jennifer Coolidge. I mean, what a cast alone from that.
But I think SNL can. I think that if you don't get it and you're making a career out of yourself. I mean, I feel like that's more admirable. But then I feel like, again, if Donald Glover got on SNL, I feel like a Donald Glover that we see today is probably not the same Donald Glover that we would have got if he was on SNL.
Yeah,
I
for
feel like
sure.
it would have. Because I feel like sometimes SNL is it preoccupies your early career when that could be like your prime, or at least like set you up for your prime, that you're not like doing movies, you're not doing this. Like Donald Glover would not be making some of the music he's probably making. He wouldn't be doing some of like the acting gigs he's doing right now. It's just it all worked for a reason. So whether it was intentional on the SNL staff or not, but
yeah, some people are better off, in other places too. Like your boy Rob Riggle was on SNL first season. Then he could come back, and the big Louis Dreyfus, another one. It's just some people are better suited for other places, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just how it goes. And not everyone who has been on SNL became a star either. There's just people you forget existed. But
Robert Downey Jr. was on there for a year, which I think is mind blowing because he that blows my mind. I think that's like one of the crazier ones. And like not
Ben
a lot
Stiller
of people know
too.
that, he was on there for like, was he?
Yeah, for 6 episodes. Yeah,
I
I think
not
he
know
got
that.
fired. He either got quit or fired, but he's since come back to host and stuff. But yeah, what a fascinating.
Interesting.
So Jake, what's your top 5? What's your number 5 for favorite TV show?
So all right. So I'm difficult. I am not good at putting things in an order because
how about we do this for time's sake? Why don't we just list them off for now, and then we can lead to a convo from there.
I got you. Okay. So in no particular order, I have Breaking Bad. I put I put Lost because Lost is my jam. I feel like this is like a weird one, but I feel like Parks and Rec is like probably one of my favorite comedies. I think that it trumps The Office, and I know that's fighting words for some people, but I love The Office. But Parks and Rec I think is like flawless. Survivor, I feel like I talked to you all about Survivor. Survivor is like one of my favorite shows. And then I put this on here and I just put a question mark because I don't know how I feel about it anymore. Is Chappelle Show. That's like, again, like one of my favorite shows, but again, I don't know how I feel about it with all the shit that he's talked about, but I've always felt like I loved that. That was like one of my favorite shows throughout high school. I could still watch it today if I wanted to and still laugh my ass off. I love that show. I think that show is hysterical.
Yeah, with me.
So
I'm sorry, you were saying?
No, go ahead.
I was just saying that, the other ones I added to next to Atlanta would be Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and then The Sopranos. And SNL happened to be number 6 on this list, so just missed the cut, but we talked about it just as much. So yeah, I just love shows with great drama plus comedy. That's my favorite thing in this world, whether movies are showing. I think all those somewhat, well, Curb's not really that dramatic, but it's just so.
Yeah, I can't think of a dramatic. And Sopranos is not really. I mean, it's hilarious, but it's.
Yeah, it's way more of a serious tone for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. There are some funny parts.
Oh, no, I was kidding. It's like a very serious show.
Man, so yeah, Lost. I try my best, Jake. I've been trying so hard to fall into it. Maybe I don't know what's my problem. What do I have to do again? I've tried twice.
I hate being like that guy, but you need to watch that first season. If you are not watching that first season and like giving it like 80% of your attention and like giving it like 100% on like the last, like let's say like 5 episodes, and you're not reeled in, then it's not for you. But I do not think that will happen. That show is the most well written, like the best character development I've ever seen on a show. I think it's got like the best good guys and the best bad guys in it. Like I've never seen such villainous people in any other show but Lost. That show like carried me in high school. I mean, I was obsessed with that show, and like the creator and like writers are amazing. So you had Damon Lindelof, who does he just did Watchmen on HBO, and that was also really good. But he's done like a bunch of other shit. He did like Bates Motel. I'm forgetting. He did another show. Like it wasn't as good, but and then J.J. Abrams was obviously taken off. He was like the director of the whole show. Yeah, no, that I again, that's not a show where I feel like everybody took off afterwards, which I kind of like that in a show. Like that's why I love Parks and Rec, because I feel like the cast was phenomenal, and like every single person on that show took off with something. I feel like once Lost ended, that was kind of like the high for everybody on that show.
Right.
But I think that show is so fucking good, and like it has so many dropping moments, and I don't know how to get you to like it's a commitment to watch a full season, a first season of something when it's like 24 episodes, which I think is a very, I mean, looking back at it now, I think that is such a stupid way of doing television. I think that the whole concept of doing 10 episodes or like 12 episodes at the max for a season on a show nowadays is like the perfect amount that you need. Because I feel like there's so many, you're going to have a filler episode no matter what. So
I could hop on and agree with you on that. I think that is the case for sure. And you know what? I'll try one more time. It's worth trying, and I want to be aware of these references. And seriously, you never know, Jake. I genuinely mean it. So my next, why don't we hop into the movies now? Why don't you tell me some of your top 5 movies in no particular order, and we can talk about it from there.
Word. All right. Again, I don't have particular order because I can't. It's gonna be Pulp Fiction is probably my number one. If I had to like give it a number one, like Pulp Fiction is probably up there. Yeah. And I know that's super cliche, but I think that movie is amazing. I have Zodiac, which I think is like an amazing movie too. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind like completely like blew my head off when I saw it. Royal Tenenbaums I think is like one of like the best, like, if you want to call it a pick-me-up movie, because it's a little dark, but it's really good.
Yeah.
And then I had a whole list, and I was like, I feel like this is like deserving to be in my top 5 for now, but it's probably gonna change. But Whiplash is like the most recent like movie that like I just continue to look at, and like that movie looks so fucking good. So that's my top 5.
I love Whiplash, just crazy obsession, and there's just some cool shots in there, like that car accident, and just apparently Miles Teller did most of that drumming for real, and man, really rocks.
Actors that can just pick up like a skill that people put their fucking lives into and make it look like they legit are doing it. I think that's awesome. There's some actors that will just do that with every role. Like Christian Bale is always like one of those guys that like is constantly doing that kind of shit.
Oh yeah,
and it blows my mind.
The MCU people who lose weight and get into superhero shape in like 6 months, it's insane. It's insane.
Well, I remember like I heard something like wasn't it The Big Short? That's Christian Bale, right?
Yeah.
Big Short. That was okay. So I honestly haven't seen that movie, but I've heard that there's the guy that he was portraying was like really into drums. So Christian Bale like trained for like 4 weeks to like play the drums, and like everyone was like, but nobody even knew that guy played the drums. Like, what is the fucking point of that? And he's like, because like this guy, like that's like what he did. Like I really wanted to play into the character. And I was like,
that's how nice he is. I think he's the best Batman too, by the way. You agree with that? I think he plays the Bruce Wayne character in Batman as well as the comics portrays Bruce Wayne in that. Who do you say? Michael Keaton? I know he's been a popular choice.
I feel like Michael Keaton is like the most, because I feel like Christian Bale it was a douchey swag versus just like.
Do you feel Bruce is a kind of a douche though?
No, I feel like in the comics he had like, I mean, he's like kind of nonchalant, but he's kind of like pompous at the same time.
Yeah.
But I feel like Christian Bale just took it to like, I remember like in the Dark Knight, like when he comes off the helicopter with like 2 like women behind him and stuff like that. I was like,
he's just Patrick Bateman.
That's like my, yeah, that too. I don't know. All that just didn't really like click for me. I don't dislike him as Batman. I think that he did a good job. But I feel like, I don't know, Keaton. I just feel like Keaton was like exactly like what you would want out of it, and I thought that he was dope in both movies. I mean, they're both great. So
supposedly coming back for something. While we also I don't know what the thing is because they're doing the Robert Pattinson completely different universe. Who I'm excited. I think it could play a good Batman.
Pretty hyped.
I
I
love
think so
Robert
too. I
Pattinson. He's
think
my
so.
favorite actor.
I think we'll be looking at like the best Batman with Pattinson. I think that's going to be a thing.
You know, I'm praying for that. Like I said, that's my favorite actor right now. Oh man, he's just the best at doing accents. The best. He's could be funny and chill. You know, I watched this whole. I wonder what he's like as a person. Like I saw this big panel of actors. Like they were just talking about the craft of acting. It was like Bryan Cranston and like Anne Hathaway. It was all A-listers and him, and he didn't even speak during the whole thing. They talked like a whole hour. I just found that
I
interesting.
can see that though.
I wonder
I
if he's
can
like a
see
more
him being
reclusive.
quiet.
Yeah, like yeah, he does seem that way. And remember his girlfriend cheated on him on the set. Remember that with Kristen Stewart at the last Twilight movie? You feel
Well, that
for
was
him.
never going to last anyway.
Maybe it inspired him. We all know like he went back to the indie scene and did a lot of low budget films just to practice being an actor now, and he's back doing the Nolan movie, which he was really good in, Tenet, and obviously now Batman. Devil all the time's always in his preacher voice is always in movie. Always the movie channels feature that one scene.
I'm shocked that movie is not talked like more than it is. I feel like it was completely swept under the rug last year, and that movie was real fucking good. I thought.
Yeah,
and he was amazing in that.
I guess some people didn't like the story itself. They felt it was too long or what, or compelling. Like that's the criticisms I heard. But to each their own, right?
Well, how do you feel about like a long movie? Like if you were before you walk into the movie, even if like you don't know who's in it, if you found out that the movie you're walking into is 3 hours and 15 minutes, like what is your reaction to that?
It has to be good, man. Like if a great 3-hour movie will go fast, and it doesn't happen a lot. It's hard. It really will go fast. Like my examples, I thought Wolf of Wall Street pushes 3 hours. That felt quicker. Godfathers, if you want to put it. I mean, some scenes drag more than others, but the really cool stuff. And like it just has to fit like a genre. Like I'd watch a 3 hours like epic about like war epic, like with insane landscaping shots and like insane character development. I won't watch a 3-hour drama. That's too much, I think more like I think comedies, like if they push 2 hours, it can be a lot too much. I think comedy should be between 90 minutes and 2 hours, in my opinion. So I think I don't mind. I'll watch a 3-hour movie, but it has to be good and it has to equal a genre, if that makes sense. How do you feel about
I got that.
movies?
Yeah, I'm kind of like the same way. I mean, what was what the hell? The Irishman.
Yeah,
that was a tough one for me. It was good.
A bit much.
I didn't dislike it, but it was so long for no reason, in my opinion. Like they could have easily cut an hour out of that movie, and it would have been just as good, if not better, because they cut it short.
Right.
But I understand the concept now of like when you have a TV show that's running for 10 episodes, you're getting so much character development out of it. And like when you're slapping the word series on it, instead of just saying it's a movie, you're willing to watch it. But when it's like a 3 hour, I don't even know if I've ever seen a 4-hour movie. But if you were to say, oh, like this movie's 4 hours, I'm like, fuck you, no way. But I'm down to go watch an entire weekend of one TV show. I think I think a good movie should be longer because you need to have that. I think a good character development is what's going to make you be invested in the movie in the first place. Yeah, I don't know. Again, it really needs to be like, it needs to captivate me. Because
that's what I'm saying.
If I'm not feeling for the characters or like what's going on, then I can't really be that invested. But I will say, like, have you seen Hateful Eight?
Yeah.
So Brooke despises that movie, and I think it's because it's so fucking long and it's just in a cabin.
And there's a longer one too. There's a longer version if you want to put yourself into that. Yeah.
And I watched that shit because I like that movie. I think that movie is very good, and all it is you're just sitting in a cabin. But I think that movie is awesome. I love that movie. I think that's like the rare side where it's like it's really just talking in that movie. There really isn't a lot of action until maybe like the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Might as well watch a play.
I don't know. Yeah. And I don't know. It's yeah, I don't know. Again, it needs to have something to it. I feel like when it's a Tarantino movie, it could be 5 hours, and I'm gonna sit
Yeah.
there the entire time. It's
I,
just
I
that's
think
my pull.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which we both saw together, I think that pushes 2.5 hours, but that was like entertaining the whole time. Yeah, exactly. 161 minutes. So just under it's 2 hours, 40 minutes. So like that, something like that, it justifies it. And I can't think of a scene that they necessarily needed to take out off the top of my head. I haven't seen it in many months, but like again, if like the Irishman you were saying, where you can point out places that they take out for a 3.5 hour movie, like remember when spoiler alert, when he goes out to kill Robert De Niro goes to kill Al Pacino's character, we see his entire flight. We see him leave the house, get to the airport, board, fly, get land, drive to his house, does the deed, and then goes back, and we see it all over again. Like that, we get it. He's going to kill him. We don't need to see the entire thing.
But there's some dude out there that's like, yeah, but they're doing it because of this, and like, like the cinematography, and it's like, it's like you need to capture. You shouldn't be capturing like an eighth of an audience. You should be capturing at least like 3/4 of your audience.
Yeah,
if you're not doing that, I don't think you're doing a good job. I don't think that's art. I think that's not really doing it correctly.
Audience is most important, and like that's just my thing. That they have to consider that, and nothing's more annoying than a pretentious film critic. I know a few, but hey, to each their own and stuff like that. But yeah, log movies. It's fine if it uh reaches what it's meant to be, and if it's fine if it's worth that time. But if it's not, man, it's bad. Like I watched this movie called The Fisher King, which was great. Really great. I don't know if you saw Jeff Bridges, Robin Williams. It's pretty interesting.
What's it called?
The Fisher King. So it's about, long story short, it's about Jeff Bridges, your boy Jeff Bridges. This came out in 91. So he plays a radio jock who inspires this guy to shoot up a bar in one of his. He's like played a Howard Stern shock jock. And then he like loses his career from it and feels guilty. And then he's on the brink of homelessness and he meets Robin Williams, who becomes homeless because that night at that guy shot up the bar, he killed his wife and he became mentally deranged from it. So it was really interesting. It's awesome. Like it's a nice redemption story. It's just a little bit too long. It's 2 hours and it's just under 2.5 hours. And I mean, it's fine. Robin Williams, that's someone I really miss. But that was a little bit of I was looking at the clock. How much longer is this on? So you don't want that in a movie.
Yeah, anytime you're looking at your watch is that you're like, not a good sign.
Oh yeah. Do you think Endgame was worth 3 hours?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that when I was watching Endgame, I did look at my clock, but I think for the opposite reason. I was looking at it like, I know this is like a 3-hour movie. Please tell me that it's only 40 minutes in, because I could continue watching this. So yeah. I don't know. I mean, I love those movies, so I'm a little biased towards it. But I think that there's only been like a handful of movies that I knew were long, and I was sitting there going like, oh shit, I hope that we're not like already at the end, because I don't want the shit to end. So, right. And I feel like that rarely happens when you have like a long movie, but every once in a while you get those that kind of pop out like that.
I hear that, man. And my top 5 movies that I'm keeping light is my top 5 movies will have to be, one second. So I'm gonna go with I like Do the Right Thing from Spike Lee. I think just an awesome woke story that's hilarious, but also real deep themes. On the Waterfront, which is an old movie from the 50s with Marlon Brando, I could have been a contender. I couldn't have class, stuff like that. That Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'm going to see with you, which was, I still love that movie to this day. Toy Story, there's a special place in my heart for that. When I saw Toy Story 4, I think this was right at Thanksgiving weekend. I cried my eyes out, bro. You saw, I know you were, correct me if I'm wrong, were you not really feeling it that much or stuff like that?
I feel like 3 was like, it hit me so hard that when they came out with the 4th one, I was like, why? I don't need to get hit again. Like, I'm good. You guys
Oh yeah,
already
this was
punched me.
definitely
Like,
cash grab.
yeah. But it was okay. I didn't dislike it. I don't know if I would watch it again though. I would watch like 3 again, even though I know that my entire childhood will get shattered once again if I watch it. But
Yeah,
yeah.
spoiler alert is when I guess there wasn't really much more you could do. You have to have Woody and Buzz go their separate ways, and they did it. We're like, what? Who would have thought? I just like, man, who would have thought I think that was the very first movie I ever saw. I remember, I think of the VHS with that classic, like, styrofoamy white covering. And wow.
Yep.
But it is fascinating to see how far the animations come. Like, it's so blocky, the original one and stuff.
But not that bad
Oh,
considering.
yeah.
Like, I mean, it's pretty good.
Especially in
Like,
'95.
I wouldn't shit on it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, for the time that they were making, that was like the first type of like that movie they ever made, and
Yeah,
I still
first
think
ever
it's pretty.
feature
It
length
holds up.
computer animated movie. I think the first one that ever featured sequences was your movie Tron, the original, and then
That's tough. That's a tough one.
and then yeah, good movie. So that was crazy when I saw them, but I guess that's the only way that story made sense. And then my favorite movie, this never changes, is The Departed. Leo DiCaprio, Jack
I had that on
Nicholson,
my
Matt
list.
Damon. It's Scorsese directed. Great peak. Jack Nicholson, man, he knew how to play bad guy. It gets me every time. I think it's gonna end differently, but just awesome.
That ending still fucks with me every time I see it because it's just like, holy shit.
He
I
almost
just
got
think
away,
it's crazy.
man.
Yeah. All right, so here's a thing that I've talked to a couple of different people about. How do you feel about the rat at the very end?
It's funny how many people thought that was corny, but I thought it was fine. It got me a chuckle, and oh well, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of it is a little corny, but I think it's I think it was cool. I like how they did that. I don't like people that shit on it. Because I was like, I think that was kind of cool what they did.
Yeah, I liked it. I've heard people criticize it too, but oh well. So, Jake, we've been almost at it for an hour and a half. This has been such a really good conversation, man, and I really appreciate you coming on. And I hope that you would like to do this again. Seriously, it's been a real pleasure, man. I hope you've been having fun.
No, I have. This has been good. It's been a productive conversation.
That's the best type of podcast. So, with that, I like to finish with a tradition of all my guests, do the Proust questionnaire. Have you ever seen Inside the Actor Studio?
Like maybe back in like the 90s or like maybe early 2000s with James Lipton.
Yes, Will Ferrell does a hilarious impression, but he asked the same 10 questions to all his guests, and I continue with the tradition. So I was wondering if we can answer what we call the Proust questionnaire.
Okay, cool.
All right, my first question. What is your favorite word?
Flummoxed.
Formix?
Flummoxed.
Flummoxed. I really learned a lot of new words. What is that?
Flummoxed means like perplexion or like you're completely baffled by something that happened. I like learned it like a year ago, and I like love using it in conversation. Like I'll just like, dude, man, I was flummoxed when I saw that shit. When I saw the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I was fucking flummoxed, man.
Anytime I see Daniel Jones take the field, I'm flummoxed. Is that a real answer? What is your least favorite word?
I don't know if I seepage.
Seepage. Can you tell me what
sounds nasty as fuck?
Seepage. Yeah, that does sound gross. Do you know what that means too?
What?
What does seepage mean?
Like something that's like like see, I don't know. I can't something that's like dissolving through something else.
Oh,
It's usually never something good.
I can tell.
Like if something's seeping from anything, I just feel like that's gross. I don't like that word. I rarely hear it, but when I do, I'm just like,
Stay away, stay away. So
slight cringe.
my question for you is not a sexual question. It's only once someone actually answered it sexually.
Okay.
It's more of a life question. I'll tell you right after. But what turns you on in this world? It could be laughter, it could be being with your wife and family. Yeah, like what is it? What turns you on in this world?
Mm. Um. I mean, again, maybe you kind of use it, and maybe it's a little corny, but honestly, like, yeah, like my wife. I mean,
Nah, not at all. That's a
I
good, beautiful answer.
I feel like with like quarantine, some couples are looking at their relationship a certain way, and I think that I'm looking at mine as like this is like a huge blessing because
Wow.
we just got married, and I will probably never get this much like one-on-one time with my wife ever again because of quarantine, unless I like work from home forever. This was going to be the most I'm going to see her at like throughout the day, every day. And we don't work in the same room, but I like probably every hour I'm like, hey, like, what's up? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, she gives me like the motivation to do my day to day. And, yeah, no, she's like my light, man. I that's all I can really say.
Man,
Yeah.
this proves that there is someone out there for everyone. That's what I feel. I think that so awesome to show exactly when things are meant to be. What turns you off in this world?
Um, I don't know how to like put it into like a word or a phrase, but like I really don't like like how social media is um portraying people. I don't know how to
Yeah,
explain
the
it.
negative side of social media, almost.
I, I find it harder to find the positives in social media than the negatives. I feel like the negatives kind of bring out the worst in people. I think like worse than money. I feel like people can get so hungry for just to get like a like. I just don't.
Tell me
It blows
about
my
her,
mind a
bro.
little bit.
People will.
But
I've seen people who. I see people who throw people under the bus for likes. People who will like ruin reputations for likes. It's amazing. Like, in fact, this is great. Let me show you a picture. I might have sent you to this on Insta, but this person, I guess, it was from puberty. This person cheated on her boyfriend, which infidelity is wrong. So she takes the time to write "fuck you" in the wall and spray paint it and say that's her ex. Now the thing is, why'd she have to post all of that? Like she really wanted to get out of the way to make her look bad. And I guess if this goes into court, you have clear evidence of her ruining property and stuff like that. So I'm sure that doesn't help. So like is
well,
that what some people decide to do? Like, I'm gonna really ruin you. Like you could just say, hey, let's talk. But yeah.
yeah. I mean, I guess express however you need to express. But yeah, I agree on like that. Like
Shouldn't
it's
break the
like the
law to
shit like
do
when
it.
like oh probably 95% of the time you shouldn't. But do what you gotta do, I guess, to get the message across. It's like the shit where like people like are filming themselves like giving shit to like homeless people. I hate that.
Yes.
I hate
It's
that.
so
Don't
stupid.
like that at all.
You're contradicting your point of being charitable. You shouldn't need to justify yourself with a camera crew in it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Or even like, I feel like even if you do a good deed, you shouldn't have to go out of your way to tell somebody that you did that good deed. I've
Right.
done plenty of deeds where I literally haven't told anybody. It's
Yeah.
between me and the person I did the deed for. I don't like that side of like of social media, like the thirst to get like I guess like the attention of others. I don't really know what you want to call it. I just know that like if I'm like my Instagram is probably wild. If you look at like some of like the shit I follow is weird because it's like art shit. It's
Yeah.
like tattoos. And then I get into like calligraphy. I have like a lot of weird shit that I follow. I probably follow like legitimate like 200 people, and then I have maybe 1,000 random accounts that I follow. But anytime that I'm like cruising on Instagram and I see like a video that starts with like, "Hey guys," I'm like, I'm already going to the next one.
Yeah.
I don't, because that is gonna start into some shit that I don't give a shit about and I don't want to listen to it. So like, yeah, that's probably my biggest turnoff in terms of my life.
That's one of my favorite answers to this question, and I can't agree more with it. Again, do the right thing, but you don't need assurance for it. You just do it because it's the right thing to do. So my next question: what sound or noise do you love?
This is kind of stupid. I find it hilarious when people sneeze. I think that it's people are the most vulnerable and themselves when they sneeze, because they cannot control how it's going to come out and like how it sounds. And you hear some of the weirdest sneezes out there, whether it's like a full-on sneeze or someone trying to conceal the sneeze and doing a poor job. I think that shit is hysterical. So like I guess that's probably. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like the Community episode with Troy, with they make fun of his
sneeze.
Oh yeah.
Well, I remember like there was like somebody that I knew in high school. She was very, very quiet, but when she would sneeze, it would like light up the next 3 rooms. And she would just, choo, and you're like, where did that come from? Like,
my dad has a loud sneeze. Oh man, you can hear it from a mile away. Ugh.
Is he a multi-sneezer or is he just a single sneezer?
Just, shoot! He has to let everybody know.
Some people embrace it. Some people are trying to be like discreet about it. I don't know. That's a good question. I like that.
I tried it whenever I sneeze. I just try to make it discreet. But sometimes when you're like, when your nose is stuffy and like you sneeze, is the best feeling ever. Oh, relieved.
Oh, I know. Yeah, no, it's a blessing sometimes. I don't know why people are being so shy about it. It's a natural thing.
Definitely.
Embrace it. Be loud.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Let's see. This is just like a phrase that I've like picked up over the years. I think it's a funny phrase, but the noise itself is horrible. Is like wet mouth noises, whether it's like in movies, like when someone's kissing, but it sounds like you're right in their like their peripheral,
you heard that, like,
or like somebody eating really loudly, or I hate a wet mouth noise. I do not like that shit.
You want to know? Funny you say that, because when I edit this audio, I have to edit my natural sounds for that. It's like sometimes my tongue could get caught on my tooth, like just naturally, and you really hear it. There's more expensive mics that take it out for you, with like they're $500, $600, but they take out that noise. It's a miracle. But I know exactly. I deal with my annoying natural sound like that. I have to always cut it out. But now, you were saying.
Go ahead.
And like when I hear other podcasts, some people don't edit it. Like that's just from hearing them all the time now and doing it for this. It's funny. It's just something I picked up, and I'm cursed for life hearing people's mouthing noise. And the kissing one is the gross one too. That's just, like you hear it in a movie.
I feel like it was like an 80s thing where they're just like, okay, so these guys are kissing, but we need to make sure that the audience knows that they're kissing. Let's like get some ADR in there and like get it real fucking like wet. I just don't like that.
You seen Top Gun?
Yeah.
That kissing scene with them.
Very legit. Very. That seemed pretty. Yeah.
I think that's a perfect example of what you're saying. And like, man, there's a lot of. I remember the Honest trailers. Like, wow, that is a lot of tongue.
Wet mouth noises. That's like my number one. I do not like that shit.
Great answer. All right, what's your favorite curse word?
Fuck, for sure.
All right.
Anyone who doesn't say fuck, I'm gonna give him an eyebrow. Do your thing, but I mean that's like the best word out there.
It's been a couple of times where we've had people say their favorite word is fuck, and your favorite curse word, it's They'll go away.
What has anybody else said? Just like shit?
We got a couple of shits. It's mostly fuck. The worst one was the only time. There's one word I just couldn't say because I'll chat it to you right now. I'm gonna test. It's
The
so bad. This is the only time I ever changed a Proust questionnaire.
C word, I'm assuming?
No, the other F word. Like that's really offensive to
Oh.
gay people.
Oh, well, that's their favorite word?
That was their
Or
favorite.
curse word?
Yeah, I texted to you that, and it was their favorite word too. I'm like, bro, you can't do that. No, you're gonna get people mad.
Interesting. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like don't do that. That's the only time I changed. Like I'm not about. That's a dear. I think the LGBTQI plus community is an amazing group of people, and they should not be objectified and have awful words said to them like that. So that's the only time I will
No,
actually
agreed.
push it out. So felt some type of way when they said that, but I texted you who it is, so they'd have to find it. So
Gotcha.
my next question, but yeah, pretty much is shit and fuck. I'm waiting for someone to say a swear word in another language. I figure it's coming soon.
Coño.
Is that fucking another language or something?
I think that's shit in Spanish.
It's hilarious.
Coño? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's shit. I don't know. That's like the only other word. There's another one called, there's another word that's in Spanish, and I don't know how offensive it is. So for me to say it, I don't know how offensive it is. But it's zorra, which is like it's like the equivalent of saying bitch in English, which is it, but it's like a female fox instead of like a female dog is bitch. Zora. And I remember I like said it at a bar once and like I pissed a guy off for like saying that. But then I was like, I don't even know what the fuck it means.
So. Lesson learned on that one. What we want to know, talk about when someone got pissed. One time I was at the subway when I was with my ex-girlfriend, right? It was like the 4 train or something. We're going up to her apartment. And like I was talking about now I think we were about a couple of drinks in. And we were talking about we were going from a Yankee game and someone was making fun of one of the players and I just repeated, he said this guy sucks. And then this dude walked in like, yo, what you say to me? Now I'm like, he ran up on me in front of with my girlfriend. And I'm like, I don't have a problem. What's going on? I was just talking about this. And he's like, yo, we good? I'm like, yeah, bro. He's like, all right. And then he walked away. Over
Sounds
here,
like he was a couple of beers deep too.
I don't know. I'll tell you something, Jake. He had a scary look in his eyes. And I think I didn't realize how bad that could have been. Like no one was in the subway too. Like who knows? I mean, you were a commuter in New York, so you know how it is. So that was just some luck and got run up on just because I was talking about how someone said a player sucked. And he thought I said he sucks.
You don't fuck with people in New York, man. They have a certain vibe. If someone in the subway is approaching me and trying to say something, I'm like, not today, dude. No.
That's the key. You can't give them the time of day. You just put your head down, or you're stuck.
Yeah.
So, what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Trying to think. It's a good question.
Kansas City Chiefs quarterback.
I would be Elvis Gerback. That would not be very good. Shit, I don't know. I feel like architecture was always like my skill, so it's like kind of tough. I guess I don't know. I mean, so this is a weird one. I was actually kind of good at trapeze, so
Trapeze?
maybe
yeah. So
maybe yeah. I was like
that's
technically
cool. I didn't know
like
that.
certified.
A certified trapeze artist, huh?
Kind of, yeah. So, I would go to vacation to Club Med, and they would always have the trapeze there. And so I would do that like every single year. And I was getting really good at it. I was like doing tricks on it and stuff like that.
Man, you need some great arms on that one. Tricep and biceps are your best friend of that, right? And upper body, all upper body with that.
So what happened that was kind of interesting is that the last time I went to Club Med was with Brooke. And it was after I had graduated. It was after I had graduated my undergrad, I think. Oh, no, I think maybe it was grad school. I can't remember. Anyway, we went to Club Med as like a celebration kind of thing. And we did the trapeze thing. And I had one of the head guys like approach me because he knew I was like an architect. I had talked to somebody about it. And he's like, hey, like I could use you for like two different things. He's like, I have a bunch of like ideas of like construction that I want to do around here. And he's like, but you're also like super fit and like you would actually be great for like the trapeze shows and shit like that. And so this guy was like being very legit about like trying to like just like hire me for that. So I mean, I enjoyed that a lot. So I guess like if I had anything else to do, maybe that would be it. Is like to
no, that's awesome.
Be a trapezist. That's the word? I don't know.
Yeah, trapeze artist, I think.
Yeah, trapeze artist. There you go.
Could you hop in right now, like from scratch? Like you see those big are they wheels or whatever, and you could just go and do the America's Got Talent with one arm and then with your feet and do some pull-ups.
I couldn't do maybe something like that, but I could like swing. I could like hang by my legs and get caught. I've done that before.
Spider-Man.
But I also did one. Yeah, I mean it's fun. It's very cool, and like you can like practice the moves like down below, and like they have you like hooked up like on cable so you can practice it and stuff like that. There was like some pretty cool ones that like I learned how to do. Yeah, and I kind of wish I had like pursued it more because you can find like trapeze like gyms, kind of like randomly around the country. And I could have pursued it more. I just didn't because I didn't really think much of a career. I was going with that. I didn't like the idea of being an architect or join the circus. I don't like that as like my options.
Tell me about it, man. What profession would you not like to do?
It would just be a job that I wouldn't be happy in, I guess. I feel like you should always like strive to do something that makes you happy. Because I think that there was like some saying where it's like if you were to do something that has no monetary value and you don't have to worry about money at all, what would you be doing? And if you're not doing what you're doing now, then like why aren't you? And I think that's key to life is that you need to always find a way to be happy. And I don't think that necessarily money is always going to do that for you. I think that you need to love what you're doing on a day to day. So I think that any job where I'm not enjoying, I couldn't do it. I could be a janitor and I could love doing it. And, you know, if I don't like it, then I don't want to do that. So
good answer, man.
I guess it's like vague, but yeah.
No problem at all. My last question for you, Jake, is if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God to say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Good job, kid. I don't know.
Hey.
That's
good answer.
Making sure yeah.
Perfect. All right. I'm sure you're on the way to that. But Jake, what a great time this was. I really enjoyed every second. Clocking in at 1:38.
It's been a pleasure, man.
I'm definitely down to do this again if you are, and maybe we can even get Jake or Dre or whoever. We can do this again for sure. But I really enjoy this. Thank you. You were an awesome guest, and I can't wait to do this again, bro. Seriously.
Absolutely. Anytime. Give me a call. I'll be down to do it again or
definitely
somebody else. That's cool. Again, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on, and best wishes to future guests. And I hope this takes off, man.
It means a lot, man. Good luck to your Chiefs. I'm sure we'll be in touch during the game. And yeah, can't wait to do this again. I'll talk to you very soon, Jake. You're the man. Much love, brother.
Have a good one, buddy.
See you later.